Good evening, everybody. If you are looking for the most in-depth information on the markets, you have come to the right place. You have found Riz International. And if you like learning about the markets and the S&P 500, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Really would appreciate it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P 500 here. And holy cow. Yeah, the market's going to crash, huh? Sure looks crashy to me. Market absolutely on a tear this week. Blew through the previous all-time high on Friday. New all-time high, 4,559.67. Right now, the market simply cannot be stopped. S&P 500 found support here right around this 4,300 mark, which is what Riz was talking about. This was one of his key support levels, and that's where it found support. And after that, we had a bit of a rebound, bit of a pullback, and then just blew out of nowhere. The S&P 500 just on a tear over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Just an absolute beating on all of the bears out there who were calling for a bigger pullback. Sadly, they did not get it. And if you were following our trades in Elite this week, you are going to be a happy trader because you made some sweet, sweet profits that we will take a look at a little later here in the show. But let's go ahead and continue and take a look at the breakdown and see what is driving the S&P 500 right now. And mostly it is the energy sector. We saw this last year with tech, where tech was just going on an absolute tear. And then once tech kind of fell out, the market came back to earth. But right now, energy blowing through everything, 52.9% up on the year. Absolutely crazy. Financials right behind it, almost at 38%. Real estate sitting at 30%. Tech not having as great of a year as it did last year, but still very respectable at 21.84%. S&P 500 itself is up 21.19% on the year. That is absolutely crazy. Healthcare and utilities are trailing, but both still positive over the zero line on the year. Healthcare up 16% and utilities up about 17.25%. Really big movers, and energy has really been leading the way, and we can see that here with this absolute bull run in oil. I'm not really going to spend much time on gold because gold really didn't do much of anything this last week. Just, a little bit of slow grind towards the upside, but no real move that we're interested in taking at this time. But oil cannot be stopped. Oil is just on an absolute tear. Let's see, our high came in at 84.22. Our current high. Some people are calling for $100 a barrel gas, I think, or oil, excuse me. I think that's a little presumptuous. We've been on a very big run here, and I kind of feel like this may be coming back here in the next couple days, but we'll have to wait and see how the supply and demand numbers look and what the output numbers are going to look like. And of course, Riz will be on top of that because he is back. He's back from his vacation. I appreciate everybody sending all of your PMs to myself or Glenn or everybody else in the team. I know that it was good that we let Riz have that time, but we are very glad he's back, and I have no doubt he's going to be taking a look at oil and seeing what is going on there. Like I mentioned earlier, gold really not too exciting. Just a little bounce here off of this 1765 area, and that's really all about that. Something that else is breaking out here is Bitcoin. Bitcoin blew through the previous all-time high that we had back here in April 21. And new all-time high here on Bitcoin being at, let's see, $1 short of 67,000. If that doesn't tell you that there are psychological levels out there, I don't know what is. That's about as close as you can get to 67,000 without actually hitting it. So it got there 66,999. Nice. You have to wonder if these people have a sense of humor, and they pushed it exactly that high. But Bitcoin making that rally here and pulling back down a bit over the last 3, now 4 trading days on Bitcoin, coming back to earth a little bit. So we'll have to see how that continues. But yeah, Bitcoin really found support down here at 30,000 and has just been on an absolute blowout since then, doubling in value since, July. So the end of July, the 21st of July is when we hit that low. And then from there, it has been green skies for Bitcoin. We do not have any positions in crypto in Elite right now. We're not suggesting that you go out and buy these. But if it is something that you do enjoy trading and you did get down here on the dip, congratulations, you've made an absolute beating in that. Two trades that we took this week that Riz got into and out of rather quickly. First up was Walmart getting in here on the right there on the 18th. You want to talk about timing? That is what I call frickin' timing. Let me see what our entry price was on this. 140.50. Riz got out the next day on this huge push up to profit target 1. If you held on, you are sitting very, very pretty. Absolutely killing it now at 148.34, which is well over profit target 2 on Walmart. So congratulations. Enjoy your cash. That was about as, a painless trade as one could possibly hope for. Really great move here on Walmart and absolutely dominated it. The other one that we got into is Facebook, and we got in and got out of this one pretty quick too. In on the 18th at 329.92. Which is right in this area here. I know Riz got out of it the next day, if I'm not mistaken. It was either this day or the next day. I'd have to go back and look exactly which day it was. But we did manage to avoid this drop here. Those were the two trades we took, but I know one that has been popular that people have been asking about constantly is Pinterest pins. And if you took this trade and you held through all this, congratulations, you made your money back. I know I did, and I got out of this one with a profit. I was pretty ecstatic about that, not going to lie. So what happened here was there was a news release that PayPal was considering purchasing Pinterest. Not that they had done it, they were considering it. So this is one of those things where, you trade the move, and that's exactly what we did. We had been in since around here, had to hold through a lot of pain through September and October, and finally we get the move, got out of this one. I know I did. I hope you did as well. If you've been holding this, because I know we've had a lot of people in here who have been asking about this stock. Don't know if we're going to be able to have, PayPal purchase Corsair. Really would like for them to. That would be cool. If they would go ahead and, give us some news on that. But sadly, Corsair let a press release out that they were suffering from the semiconductor shortage right now. And you can see that here with this gap down. It's a bit of a bummer. I know I'm holding this personally. It's frustrating. Trust me, I get it, but hang tight and hold tough. Okay, Orlando says he's getting his question in early. Intel held past earnings. Hold or dump, average in. Well, I can tell you for certain that Riz took a loss on this one. And if you were holding through earnings, it looks like you're kind of late because this thing absolutely tanked. Yeah, you held this one past earnings, hold or dump, average in. Well, the thing is with Intel, this is an absolutely rock solid company. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they actually beat earnings rather substantially, and the market said, it looks a little overvalued to me. So there was a big selling pressure down there. I don't know if the guidance was good or bad. I'd have to look into the earnings report on that to get that information. But yeah, if you're still holding this, and I don't know what your account size is, Orlando. I'm not going to ask you. That's your own personal information. But, if you don't mind holding this, I would probably hold it, honestly. I think Intel is a great company. You shouldn't have, any problem hanging into this one. Averaging down here is definitely an option. Definitely something you could do. Market doesn't react well to Intel earnings. I guess not. Yeah, I mean, obviously they got beat here, dip here. Let's see. Here's another drop. This one is actually pretty good, but that's about it. Look at this drop here. So yeah, Intel earnings always seem to be received fairly, not well by the market. But what in the world is this? Oh, that not go away. Okay, I feel better now. Now that that's off my chart. Yeah, sadly, Intel got absolutely slaughtered on earnings. You can look to see if it, if it starts to rebound here on Monday. And then look to average in, or if it continues to sell, you can just hang tight and, just kind of wait and see if you want to average in. I don't know if just jumping in right now and averaging down is the best play. Maybe you just kind of hang tight, see what she does on Monday. And if it starts to rally, if it looks like it's looking pretty good, then yeah, you could definitely look to average in on this one. It's definitely a better price point now, I'm sure. And, sorry you had to hold through that pain. That kind of sucks. Bgfv found a bottom. Let's take a look. Big5 Sporting Goods Corporation. Yeah, it definitely looks like it found some short-term support here around this 23.30 area. But that being said, look at the moving averages kind of crashing in here, especially the 90-day moving average. It's definitely holding that, but it also can't bust out of this channel that it's in right now. Let's go ahead and draw that real quick. So we kind of have our bottom right about here, and we've got our top right about here. And that's pretty much where it's stuck right now. It's really range bound. It's got about, $1.50 range right now. It looks like, I'm going to want to see it bust out of this channel before I'm ready to go ahead and take a position. If you're in it, then, you could definitely hang tight and hold it. But it seems to be respecting the 90 pretty well here. As far as technicals are concerned, we can kind of zoom in and you can see that even better. So I want to see a push over that before I go ahead and jump in. But yeah, it does seem to have found some support here in this channel. We'll have to see if it breaks out, if that's something that you're keeping an eye on here. I'm not too familiar with this company, but that's all right. HIBB. Hibbett Incorporated. Definitely looks like it's pulling back up here over the past couple days. Definitely likes to follow the market. Doesn't seem to care too much about the 200 simple moving average. Some stocks do, some don't. Again, this is one that I'm not too familiar with. But yeah, I mean, definitely looks like it's starting to curl back up. Could definitely be a good position for you. Keep an eye on it, I would say. Let's see what it does on Monday. If we continue to have a down day, or, if the market continues to maybe this is the top for now. Maybe we start to roll over in the S&P 500. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I'd keep an eye on this. I'm not going to be jumping in right now, but this is definitely one that looks like it's starting to rebound. It's definitely moving in the right direction, which is nice. So yeah, that seems to be respecting that upward support, that upward trending support. So, definitely a good potential, Matthew, for sure. Is it a good time for an Airbnb entry? This piece of garbage. Yeah, so I got out of this one on this huge move here. Thank heavens. I was tired of holding this thing. And so I got out for some profit. Looks like I could have held on a little bit longer, but you know what? You never know. Obviously, yeah, it's holding the 200 simple moving average, but the 200 doesn't have a whole lot of data because this is a fairly new IPO. It's only been on the market for a little more than a year. And so I'm not going to really call that like this is the greatest, spot. I mean, yeah, it's definitely in an uptrend. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can easily see that. Let's see if we can't make it beautiful. That's about as good as it's going to get it. So we can erase this downtrend. That's good. Done. There we go. So now we're pushing back towards the upside. And it does seem to be holding. I agree. Got to keep an eye on it for sure. Again, we got earnings coming up here. Keep an eye on that. That is coming up here in a couple of weeks. So be aware of that. If you want to hold through earnings or if you don't, depends on your conviction on Airbnb. Is it a good entry? It doesn't look terrible. I'll be honest with you, it doesn't look too bad. What's the word from Riz on taking new positions in current market conditions? Sorry if already been talked about, missed the first 5 minutes of the webinar. Well, actually, no, Yas, you didn't mention it because, I was talking about the markets in the first 5 minutes of the webinar. So, I'm sure that Riz will definitely be looking at things on Monday. He'll be back in the office, back to life as normal. The honeymoon is over, and he should be looking at potentially taking new positions if he sees something. I know he's not going to force anything. But, definitely we're always looking for new positions. I can't say for certain what he's looking at. Even that he doesn't tell me. But be aware that Riz is always looking. It's one of those things. I think we saw that while he was on his honeymoon. He was never actually away from Elite, if you ask me. Yeah, I mean, definitely something that could be going here. I mean, obviously with the market just kind of blowing out over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of indecision here on Friday. This is what we call a doji candle or a pin bar, whichever you prefer. But it shows a lot of indecision. There was a lot of down, there was a lot of up, and we basically ended flat, basically right where we opened. So this is a huge sign of indecision. So what the market decides to do on Monday will kind of dictate where we go and how we want to behave and how we want to, to look at positions and things like that. But, is he looking? Of course he's looking. He's always looking. Do I know what he's looking at? No, I don't. So, that's for Riz. He'll tell us when he's ready. McGill says, looking to enter play. Dave and Buster's, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, Dave and Buster's making a pretty nice move here. Let's see. So it found support out of nowhere, basically. All right, cool. So yeah, we kind of bounced here off this 35 area. It's not terrible. You're definitely holding over the 90 and the 50 here, which is definitely a positive sign. Big green day on Friday, approaching the 200 here around 39.70. So definitely an area to keep an eye on. That still gives you about a $1.50 as far as space. Towards the upside. Of course, downside could go even down about another dollar. So it's not too bad, Miguel. I don't hate it. It's definitely bounced, and it has found support there. So could be looking to gear up to make another move. Volume is not too impressive. About 1 million shares a day, but nothing too massive as far as that's concerned. But yeah, I kind of like it. It's not bad. I mean, obviously here we're nicely trending up, which is always a good sign. So yeah, I like it. It's not too bad. Not too bad. All right. Milton says he has two. He wants to look at Ally and STEM. Ally dropped a bit the day after earnings. Any possible floor to look for? STEM is near support level at around 2050. Earnings coming up on the 9th. Okay, let's take a look. All right, Ally Financial. Financial is getting kind of pounded here. I've seen a couple financials that actually beat earnings, though it looks like revenue is down, and that may be what is, kind of driving this. Maybe people were concerned about it. I'm not a huge fan of financial stocks. They're not terrible. Obviously, we do have a dividend coming up here of 25 cents. It's not spectacular, but it's not nothing either. So that doesn't suck. Let's see. Any possible floor to look for? So let's look at a couple inflection points here. I mean, it looks like we may have found support in this area from this dip. So that's definitely something to watch. We've definitely got some support down here. That seems to be fairly relevant. Also, you see it as resistance here. And that'll coincide right with the 200, which is always a plus. Oops. Move the mouse right at the last second. That seems pretty good. So those are kind of the levels I'd look at. We're basically sitting on support right now. We'll have to see if that holds or not come Monday for ALLY. And then the 200 and this 49.20 area, so probably about 49.25 or 49, somewhere in that area. You potentially find some more, and then around 47. As far as what we're seeing, here on the chart, those would kind of be my areas for support. And so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's take a look at STEM. STEM Inc. Okay, another recent IPO, just a little bit over a year old. Yeah, we got earnings coming up here fairly soon, so definitely to keep an eye on that. Looking at 2050 as support. Looks like we already blew through 2050. Yeah, so I see what you're saying there as far as that's concerned. So yeah, we definitely took that out. And 2040 looks to be around the next area where it could come hit. Obviously, we've had some support here in the past. So definitely some respect for that area. This 2050 area looks really good. Actually about 2068. So we'll have to keep an eye on that if that's something that you want to get into. And then, yeah, right about here with that touch there. Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely some levels here to keep an eye on. Actually, looks like we got another one in here. Let me zoom in a bit to make it a little more clear. So obviously we blew through this 2150-ish area that we referred to earlier, and definitely seems to be some respect for that area. And we kind of just settled on the support here right around 21, and that's kind of where we closed. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. If that's something that you want to get into, I will say that this is on a straight downtrend right now. So that's kind of disconcerting. Not my favorite. So, I mean, looking at the overall trend here from when hitting all-time highs back in February of this year, when we hit 5150, basically, 5149 for the purists among us. And yeah, it's been nothing but down since then. So, I want to see it break this trend line, honestly. That would be more of a signal for me than anything else. But yeah, this downtrend is really concerning. Kind of looks like Corsair, honestly. And yeah, earnings coming up can always be dicey. Looks like they missed here. They gap down pretty hard. Looks like, yeah, not too much to report from there. So, yeah, earnings could be dicey with this one. I'm not familiar with this company, but yeah, I'm not digging this one as much. The other one looked a little bit better. Any thoughts on entry on UL? Well, my downtrend seems to be holding at this point, though it may be breaking out. Yeah, if I'm going to take this one, I want it over these lines that I've drawn because they seem to be rather relevant. So, yeah, I'd look at this closer to 54. If it pushes and holds over 54, then I'd be more comfortable taking this one. Until that happens, I'm not touching it. A real solid downtrend here. Yeah, I remember that, Ricardo. I remember we talked about UL last week. But yeah, it's a little tricky when the market's on an absolute tear. Obviously, our positions that we're in should be doing fairly well, and I'm hoping that you capitalize on those trades that we took in Elite this week, at least on a couple of them, because you would be sitting pretty well. You'd be pretty happy with yourself. YOLO short on pins. Nope, not touching it, Matthew. Not with it being in the news like it is. Honestly, the YOLO short should have been here on Thursday if you wanted to try and do it then. And that would have worked out for you. But now I wouldn't touch it. It's holding on support. The last thing you do is you don't short into support. Short puts. Oh, my mistake. I misread. That would be a Riz question. Yeah, I see it now. My mistake. My bad on the reading there. I just saw short and I saw pins. And so I made an assumption that was my mistake. But yeah, you could, but I don't. With this type of volume right now, this is a good way to get assigned. At least that's my opinion. I wouldn't touch it. I'm sure the premiums would be nice, but you're also putting a lot of capital at risk. So I don't know your capital situation, and that's a question that only you can answer, whether you're comfortable with that or not. So me personally, probably not. I wouldn't take it, but I'm more conservative of a trader than many. So if you like that risk, if you like the potential being put long on this thing, if you do get assigned and you have the capital to handle it, could be something for you. I'm sure that that premiums are pretty decent. Okay, so there's some news about privacy. Okay, that's good to know. All social media apps based stocks are getting hit pretty hard. Snap, Facebook, Pins, and Twitter. Well, I mean, Pins had this ridiculous run, so I'm not surprised that this is coming back. This catalyst here was the potential buyout news, and then it came back. Now I'll have to look into that that news that you were talking about. We can look at the other ones real quick. And Miguel, I'll get to your question in just a second. Yeah, I know Facebook got slammed, so I'm glad we got out of that one. That was a good one. Snap, that's always a joy to look at. Yeah. Yeah, beats earnings and then gets killed the next day. And then Twitter. Take another look at a bullshit stock. Yeah, Twitter not doing as bad. Looks like earnings coming up here pretty soon. That should be interesting. But yeah, Twitter looks like it got hit the least. Clearly, people don't care about that. Okay, entries on Fubo or Fubbo. Fubbo TV. Well, it looks like they're not doing so well as far as earnings are concerned. Yeah, earnings are coming up here in November. We definitely do seem to be kind of grinding back up. But let's look here. That seems pretty relevant back here. Multiple touches on this one. So the problem with this one is right now it's kind of crowded, right? So you've got the three moving averages really close to each other right here, which is always tricky to trade around these. Again, because of the the buying and selling in these areas. It looks like we pushed down below the 200 here, but we weren't able to push through. Looks like about 31. We definitely have some support down here at 26.20, so 26.25 probably. And but it's like you got the moving averages sitting here. So this is a tricky one. Obviously, we've come up and we're starting to pull back, but I don't love this one, to be honest with you. This is a tricky area to trade in. I just feel like it's going to be really congested. There's going to be a lot of buying and selling in these areas, and could be difficult to get a decent price. I'd be careful with this one, Miguel. I don't know. I don't love this pattern. Honestly, I don't love the way this looks. Obviously, a nice little run here from about 23 something to, right to support around 30. That was a beautiful move. But yeah, that's not a terrible. Let's see. No, it's not that. It's close to it. So it basically bounced out of nowhere. I guess you could say it was kind of a hit there, and it bounced up. It's not perfect. Yeah, this is one I'm not too jazzed on. I was looking at T below Riz's dip buy price, but looks like it's in a bit of a downtrend. Good value. Let's take a look. AT&T. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know if I would touch this one, bro. This one looks to be in bad shape. T, obviously a really high dividend paying stock, very consistent. A lot of people in the past have, held AT&T just for the dividend. So that is something you could consider, but we've kind of missed the dividend here. Does look to be a bit oversold, and it looks like it's starting to come back up. I don't love it. It's definitely in a downtrend now. I'm not going to say that, 8 candles is an uptrend. I see what you're saying like this. And, it does seem to be respecting that, but, I'm kind of looking at this and I'm a little more concerned about this because AT&T has just been getting slammed lately. So we can't clean that up a little. There we go. That's more beautiful. So, if we extend this out, let's see. So, the point of inflection is in here. So I'll have to see what happens there. And it's anybody's guess when you have ascending support meeting descending resistance. It's anybody's guess on who wins. And it's basically who ends up has more money and put in more buy orders, who is going to win. And those are people not like us. Those are the whales. Those are the people who can really do it. Yeah, it's not terrible, but obviously it's been getting killed here. Earnings look to be pretty decent, though revenue was down, which is definitely not what they wanted. Only a miss by 700 million, a mere paltry 1.7%. $39 billion in revenue. Must be nice, though they got a lot of people they got to take care of. So I don't hate it. The dividend is nice again, though it should be around here. You'd have to see when the next ex-dividend date is. You could take a position here. It's not terrible, but just be aware that it could continue in this downtrend, even though it does have this short-term upward support. That could break fairly easily. And, not a very confidence-inspiring move on Thursday and Friday. So, and especially Thursday when the market was absolutely tearing and looking spectacular. This thing was going down. So, yeah, I don't know too much about AT&T. You can hold it for the dividend, but other than that, it's not too fantastic. Well, that's one way to look at it, Ricardo. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. So back on Fubo is what Ricardo is talking about. It said he'd wait to see if support got hit and if it gets beaten down, to channel support and see if it bounces back. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely do that. The thing is, there's just going to be a lot of people here in this area. When you have the moving averages so close to each other, it's really a dicey spot to be in. You want to have some, some movement, and the moving averages are just moving sideways, which indicates that we're really channelized right now. And that's the case. I mean, obviously, we can see we've been in a channel here for the most part since, June. It's been trading mostly between 31 and, yeah, about 23, excuse me. So, yeah, I'm just not too jazzed about it. Oh, you've been bag holding for nearly a year. Ooh, that's rough. That is rough. I hope and pray you didn't get in up here. T-Mus, please, has been getting hammered, but good earnings. It's T-Mobile, right? Yep. Oh, yeah, you're not kidding about that. They got absolutely wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. I wouldn't touch this. No. I mean, obviously some support here, but yeah, I'm not touching this one. Let's zoom back out. Let's see big picture here. Yeah, I don't like this one too much, Miguel. This is not my favorite. And when it's just kind of sitting on the support out here, it's a good way for it to come back down even some more. We're very well extended below the moving averages here. Yeah, this is a knife catch, for lack of a better term. Obviously, it's not a knife catch on like a parabolic, but this is a slow, slow and steady downtrend here on T-Mobile. Yeah, it does look like it's found some support, but the question is, does that support hold? And it's not looking too good. I mean, yeah, we've had 3 hits on it, which is not bad, but it's not spectacular either. I don't like trying to bottom pick something like this. I'd like to rather see some more definitive movement. And honestly, if I were to go and get in on this, let's see. I'm looking right about here. I want to see a defined break of like this 122.75 and a hold over it before I'm looking to take this one long. Do you see Piton is at a good entry for a short-term hold? Good old Peloton. Let's make some exercise machines. It's not bad. I see where you're going with this. Obviously, we've had this little bounce up here, and we're looking like we're making a pretty decent move. Moving averages are a little bit concerning, but not necessarily the end-all, be-all of everything. That's more concerning than anything else. 95.75 seems to be pretty strong. Multiple hits here. Yeah, that's pretty well respected. If you can bust through that, then yeah, I think you should be okay. Of course, Miguel, I'm more than happy to answer your questions for you. That's what we're here for. I mean, if it's short term, Yas, I think it could work for you. But yeah, I just be careful with it. Yeah, no problem. Glad I could help you out. Is it a good time to get in Disney? Well, I've heard they're opening their parks back up, so obviously it's a good time. Excuse me. Disney. Right about there, sitting on support right now. Potential short term down right about there. And then we've got the bottom of that one. And right there. Ish. Okay. I think that's more than sufficient. Again, this is no different than, what was it, T-Mobile? It feels kind of a bit of a knife catch to me. It's in a slow downtrend, though it does seem to have found some decent support here around 167.50. So it can be. What I don't like is the fact that this S&P 500 is absolutely killing it, and Disney is just dying a slow death here when that was happening. So I do agree. It seems that there's some bottom there, Orlando. Can it hold? That's the question. If it holds and it bounces again, you could definitely take it for a short-term position. Definitely a potential for you. Definitely, yeah, definitely keep it on watch. You're in it for long term. Okay, well, if you're already in, I don't know what your entry is, but I definitely it does seem to be holding this area. If it can continue to hold, then it could find it as a place to base off of. Okay, so you're in at 110, so you're sitting pretty on this one. If it's a long term hold, then these short term support levels don't matter as much. Let's take a look at the overall long term trend. So, yeah, I mean, overall, Disney, on a nice uptrend here for long term. Getting in closer, I do agree with you that there's definitely some support there. So we'll definitely need to keep an eye on it. But yeah, if you're in for the long term, then there's no reason to dump it just yet. Could hold on. I think if you're looking at long term investment, everybody's texting me. Spectacular. It was Ricardo. I wanted to look at MA. It's hitting the 200 moving average and can't bust through it. That's a simple answer for you. For MasterCard here, I think it's kind of stuck. It's stuck below the moving averages. It can't break out. That's what I see, at least. So, I mean, the very slightest of uptrends here, but nothing, really confidence inspiring. And we've got a lot of, stuff in the way. We've got 2 moving averages that it seems to be respecting. If you can bust through these here in the next couple of days, then yeah, I think you could definitely go for it. But yeah, I mean, obviously longer term, yeah, it is. I won't say longer term, but more recently, there is definitely some downtrendiness to it. So yeah, it's a question of can it break through both of the moving averages plus, descending resistance. So something you got to keep an eye on. But I don't really love a setup like this, especially when it seems to be respecting the moving averages like it does. And I know I harp on that a lot, guys. It's just an indicator that I respect. It doesn't mean that it's the end all be all of everything. Securities can absolutely blow through their moving averages and kind of wave at you as they go past. But it is something that we can see, and there is a lot of buying and selling, especially around the 200. So it just depends on how many people are there. Oh boy, Yas wrote me a big one. What's your thought on the recent Trump's SPAC and fun? Is this a sign that the market is in euphoria mode and something has to give soon? 1,000% a day is unheard of. Even crypto didn't give us those sorts of gains a day. Okay, let's look at these pieces of garbage. Pretty sure these are not the ones that you're referring to. Oh, that thing. Oh, yes. This garbage. Okay. Don't mess with this. Okay. For lack of a better term, guys, stay away from this. This is a parabolic mover. It's going to blow your account. That is my analysis. Don't play with this stuff. And then PHUN, another piece of junk. Don't play with this. This is a straight up pump and dump. This is already a penny stock. And it still is in my mind. This will blow your account up. Yeah, you needed to get in down here and have some insider knowledge that this thing was going to rip. Yeah, don't chase waterfalls, guys. That's my simple answer, and this is exactly what it is. You're trying to, it's a whole nother GameStop. It's this crap, and how many people got absolutely decimated on GameStop? Now I know a lot of people made money and things like that, but for these other things, this especially this DWAC, yeah, you don't want to play with this, guys. This is it's a straight pump and dump. That's all there is to it, guys. This is a straight pump and dump, and you don't play with this crap. AMC, yeah, that's another one. That's another one that they played the you know, the short squeeze game on. Lots of people getting stuck on these things. I have a friend of mine who's not an elite, who I can't tell you how much he's lost on GameStop and AMC together. Uh, Guys, when you have these hype stock, these things that get essentially pumped, will it get back to 50? I doubt it. Not anytime soon. I don't see it, honestly. I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but I don't see it. Not anytime soon. It's going to need a significant catalyst. And, honestly, I'm going past the movie theaters, guys. I'm not seeing a lot of people there right now. I think with all these streaming services and things like that, I think it's going to be really hard for your traditional brick and mortar theaters. I understand there's still an allure of going to the movies, and I love it. But I'll be honest with you, the wife and I, there's been multiple movies that we've wanted to go see, and we've just not done it. Now, of course, my wife is working and in nursing school at the same time, and I'm running like 2 jobs, so we don't have a whole lot of free time. But that being said, it's still something that I think a lot of people, it's a luxury item, like going to the store or not the store, going to the movie theater. It's just something that people really aren't spending a lot of money on right now. And yes, these things were essentially pumped, and that's what it is, guys. It's a Wall Street bets pump. That's what it is. And how can they accept it to be a $30 to $40 in such a short amount of time? It's called market bullshit, Yas. That's the lack of a better term that I can refer to it as. It's one of these things where it's like it doesn't matter. I mean, I've told the story of Intelsat many times. It was one that was rather famous in Elite. If you were here for many years ago, Riz shorted the bejesus out of that thing and got absolutely raped on it, for lack of a better term. And long term, he was right. Hang on a second. I can never remember the new one. It used to just be I. Now it's 3 cents. Didn't used to be 3 cents, guys. So yeah, it ran up here on this, fluffed up news that it got this grant. It was in this area here. And, we were averaging in on the short, and it just kept going. And this was not, from a fundamental standpoint, worth $38. It wasn't worth, even it's more correctly valued now at about 3 cents. But it was never worth this, but yet the market accepted it. It's all about psychology, really. It's what do people think that a stock is worth at a given time? And there's no real easy way to answer that in my mind, because, traditional valuation of a company doesn't necessarily mean that the stock price is correct. I mean, you look at something like Tesla, who's just hit all-time highs, and they'll probably split again, which means, something maybe that we can possibly get into if that's your bag, if you like Tesla. But, is this really worth $900 per share? Most people would say no. It's mostly all trumped up in this belief that, Elon Musk is the next savior, or the next dude who likes to smoke grass on Joe Rogan's show, whatever floats your boat. But, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. And I get it. And it's no different with AMC. Yeah, it was a $2 stock, but it's just like, it doesn't matter what you think it should be. It matters what the market is willing to pay for it. It's pure supply and demand, and it's hype is really all it is. And you get these short squeezes, things like that, people stop loss orders getting hit, and you get these moves, these parabolic moves like this that make absolutely no sense and absolutely wreck people's accounts, for lack of a better term. Any altcoins you're watching? No, not really. I'm not really into the crypto stuff anymore. It seems like most everything just follows Bitcoin, and there's not too much exciting things going on. I mean, we can look at a couple other ones. I mean, we can take a look at Ethereum here. See Ethereum making a nice little tear here with the meteoric rise in Bitcoin. But I mean, you look at these charts, pretty similar. especially here over the last days. I mean, that run looks exactly the same as Bitcoin, if you ask me. So, it's you can look at these altcoins where people were making ridiculous amounts of money by buying a ton of these lightly valued coins, and then someone gets a hold of it and it tears, right? It's a lottery ticket, Orlando. That's really what it comes down to. There's no regulation at all in crypto right now, and I know that's part of the reason why it's there, and I get that and I respect that. But it's not something that I feel comfortable getting in right now. If you like it, go for it. Always make sure you don't invest any more than you're not willing to lose, or you're willing to hold it for a longer term. But I don't really look at altcoins, to be honest with you. I know Riz really isn't. I put Bitcoin up here because I know that a lot of people are interested in crypto, and it's probably the best indicator as far as the overall market in crypto right now. And so that's kind of why I touch on it in the webinar. But yeah, I'm not really looking at any altcoins right now. Oh my gosh, would you look at the time, man? You guys got me going tonight. Really appreciate it. Wonderful questions, everybody. Spectacular. And yeah, guys, again, don't play with those BS stocks. All right, that DWAC and PHUN, stay away. Just let it go. Don't sit there bemoaning about how much you could have made or things like that. Trust me, if I could make what I thought I should have made in day trading, I'd be a freaking millionaire by now. Because hindsight is 20/20. So if there's one thing that I'll recommend is that if you miss a move or if you miss a trade, just let it go. There will be more, I promise you. And you'll have some that you make a lot of money on, and you'll have some that maybe you just make a couple bucks, and maybe sometimes you'll lose. Maybe sometimes you're gonna have to hold a lot longer than you expected, kind of like a lot of us with Pinterest and things like that. Let's go back here. It sucked, right? I mean, we're holding here since August. It's doing nothing but going down, 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 down. And it was like, oh my gosh, when is it finally going to go? And then this news story breaks and we're in. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Stay away from FOMO, guys, which is fear of missing out. If you're not familiar with the acronym, just let it go. If you miss something like that, let it go. Don't sit there and cry about how much money you would have made. Don't sit there calculating, oh, well, I would have taken about this many shares and I would be up this many $100,000 now. Okay, great. If you could trade like that consistently, seeing the move first and then going back in time and trading it, yeah, we'd all be freaking billionaires by now, right? But it just doesn't work that way, sadly. What about Wish? Yeah. Riz has talked about Wish quite a bit. Obviously on a pretty hard downtrend right now. I know a lot of us are stuck in that. I'm not personally, but because I don't have an account big enough to do short puts. But it's one of those things, just hang tough. You've got two options with it. You can either hang tough or you can let it go and eat the loss. Whatever you think is best for your account. I'm not going to advise one way or another because I know everybody's beaten down on this one. Could there be an announcement on this? Absolutely. It's in a very interesting space, and we'll have to keep an eye on it. So just Riz is still hanging on. I know he said he was going to wait for earnings before he made a decision on this one. So my recommendation is if you're already getting your butt handed to you on this one, hanging on to it for a little bit longer isn't going to be all that much more painful. So just wait and see, and we'll kind of go from there. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for coming. It was great. Wonderful questions. And as always, we will see you in Discord on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and good night.